Have you ever fallen for someone you only knew online? A person who just gets you? Their texts are like a warm hug. Their voice on a call feels like home. That was Leo for me. Our story started like a lot of modern romances do, with a swipe and a match. His profile was intriguing. A bio that was witty, not cliché, and photos that showed a genuine smile, not just a series of posed angles. We started talking and it was instant. The kind of connection you read about in books but never think will happen to you. We texted from morning till night. About everything and nothing. The silly memes, the deep fears, the dreams we hadn't told anyone else. He was a graphic designer in a city 3 hours away, and I was a budding writer, stuck in a creative rut. He'd send me sketches inspired by our conversations, and I'd write him little snippets of stories. It felt like we were building a world just for us, a digital sanctuary away from the pressures of real life. After a month, we moved to phone calls. Hearing his voice for the first time was electric. It was deeper than I imagined, with a laugh that made me laugh, even if the joke wasn't that funny. Our calls would last for hours, stretching late into the night. We'd talk about our childhoods, our exes, our biggest insecurities. I told him things I'd never even told my best friend. With Leo, I felt completely, utterly seen. He wasn't just my online crush, he was my confidant, my cheerleader, my best friend. The idea of meeting in person was both thrilling and terrifying. What if the chemistry wasn't the same? What if I wasn't what he expected? What if he wasn't what I expected? We talked about it for weeks, dancing around the subject. He was just as nervous as I was. What if you see me and realize I'm just a big dork? He'd say, and I'd reply, that's exactly what I'm hoping for. We were building up this meeting to be the climax of our movie. The final scene where everything clicks into place perfectly. Finally, we set a date. He was going to drive down and spend the weekend. The week leading up to it was a blur of excitement and anxiety. I must have tried on 100 different outfits. I cleaned my apartment until it was spotless. I was a bundle of nerves, but underneath it all, I was giddy. I was finally going to meet the person who had already captured my heart. The day he arrived, I was waiting by my window, watching for his car. When I saw it pull up, my heart started pounding. He got out and he looked just like his pictures. Tall, with that same kind smile. I ran downstairs to meet him, and when I opened the door, we just stood there for a second, smiling awkwardly. He broke the silence. You're even more beautiful in person. I blushed, and he pulled me into a hug. It was a good hug. A real, solid hug. For a moment I thought, this is it. This is perfect. That first evening was nice. We ordered takeout from my favorite Thai place, the one I told him all about. But the conversation, which flowed so effortlessly online, felt stilted. There were awkward pauses. We'd start to say something at the same time, then both stop. We were so used to the rhythm of texting, the ability to think before you type. In person, there were no backspace keys. I noticed little things. The way he chewed with his mouth slightly open. The way he checked his phone constantly, even when I was talking. Online, his attention felt absolute. Here, it felt divided. I tried to brush it off. It's just first-day jitters, I told myself. It'll get better. The next day, I planned a whole itinerary. We went to my favorite bookstore, the art museum, the park where I go to write. I was trying to show him my world, the physical version of the one I had described in our late-night calls. But it felt like I was a tour guide and he was a polite tourist. He'd say, oh, that's cool or nice, but the passion, the curiosity that was so evident in his texts was missing. The disconnect was most obvious in the quiet moments. When we were just sitting on the couch, the silence between us wasn't comfortable like it was on the phone. It was heavy. Online, we could fill silence with a shared meme or a random thought. Here, we just sat. I found myself looking at him. This person I felt I knew so intimately and feeling like I was looking at a stranger. The Leo the first knew would have made a stupid joke or asked a probing question. This Leo just scrolled through his social media feed. The most heartbreaking moment came on our second night. We were watching a movie, and I rested my head on his shoulder, trying to recreate the intimacy we had built over hundreds of hours of conversation. He didn't pull away, but he tensed up. It was a small, almost imperceptible reaction, but I felt it. It was a wall going up. The man who had listened to my deepest fears and held my virtual hand through every anxiety attack felt a million miles away, even though he was sitting right next to me. I realized then that the Leo the First had fallen in love with didn't fully exist in this reality. The Leo the First loved was a curated version, a composite of his best words, his most thoughtful replies, his most charmingly timed emojis. He was a creation of the digital space, where we both had the safety of a screen and the time to craft the perfect version of ourselves. In person, there was just the raw, unedited reality. And the reality was, we were two people who had an amazing intellectual and emotional connection online, but zero physical chemistry. The next morning, his departure was polite and distant. We hugged again, but this time it felt like a goodbye between acquaintances, not lovers. "I had a really nice time," he said, and I said it too because what else could we say? We both knew it was over before it ever really began. As he drove away, I didn't cry. I just felt empty. It was like finishing a beautiful book and having to return to a less interesting reality. The texts stopped. Not abruptly, they just faded out. From a constant stream to a trickle, and then to nothing. It was a quiet digital ghosting. And it hurt more than any loud breakup ever could. I grieved for him. I grieved for the Leo the First knew, the one who lived in my phone. I would scroll back through our old conversations, reading the words that had made me fall in love, and it felt like reading a story about two other people. It took me a long time to understand what happened. It wasn't his fault, and it wasn't mine. We just fell in love with a fantasy. We loved the idea of each other, an idea we had both carefully constructed and presented. Online, we were the perfect match. In reality, we were just strangers who knew each other's secrets. It is a strange and lonely feeling to lose someone who was never really there to begin with. The person I loved was real to me, but he existed in code and pixels, in late-night calls and heartfelt messages. I had loved him online, but I lost him the moment we tried to bring that love into the real world. And that's a different kind of heartbreak, one that I'm still learning how to navigate. Thank you for listening. If you've ever experienced something like this, please know you're not alone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.